Good morning, everybody. Michael Johnson here, and I'm super excited to have Mr. Justin Voss on the call with us today. He is going to share some awesome information about financial literacy. He is a powerhouse in the industry, and I am just ready to go. I'm ready to take my notes so I can learn a little bit more about financial literacy and where to put my money. So without further ado, welcome, Justin. Welcome.
Thank you, Michael, for that great introduction, and good morning to you all. Thank you for being here this Saturday morning, this Easter weekend. I know your time is very, very important, and I certainly appreciate it joining me here today for the next 45 minutes or so as we kind of roll through some basics on some financial literacy. I hope to share some knowledge and pass along some value to you for your time as you have joined me here today. But I would really like to take a moment to thank Mr. Johnson, Michael Johnson, for organizing this webinar that we're doing here today. Financial literacy is an important thing that unfortunately not a lot of us are very aware of. So I'd like to start today's session today talking about a little bit about where we learn our financial literacy. Where do we learn about finances? So I'm going to start my presentation today. And let me open up my PowerPoint here for everybody. There we go. So April is designated Financial Literacy Month. And one of the things that is always on my mind as a teacher of financial literacy is, where do we learn these skills? Because they don't teach them in school. They don't teach them in high school. They don't teach them in college unless you're going specifically for some sort of finance degree. And even then, it's pretty limited. So where do we learn how to grow our money? Well, we all learn from our home. We learn from our parents. If our parents didn't have a financial background or be interested in financial literacy, they passed on what they know on to us. And then we pass it on to our kids. So financial literacy is one thing that everybody in America should be aware of and should be taught. We're all in the world today, whether we have a job or we're working in a business, we're all here to make money so that we can live our lives, plan for our future. But no one teaches us how this works. So today we're going to spend a few minutes talking about financial planning. And what is a financial plan? Well, it's really a roadmap to get you where you want to go and where do you want to be. It all starts with a decision. I know as I sit down with my clients and we talk about building a plan, the first thing I ask them is, what's important to you? What is your desire? What is it that you want to get out of this? What are your dreams? Because this is your plan. This is not my plan. My job is to help you get you to where you want to go. And so the world is kind of divided into two places. There are people that wish they had something, and somebody who puts a plan in place and executes something. So as you can see here on the slide, there are dreamers out there. They dream the dream, but that's just what it is. It's a dream. I would like to have this, but I don't know how to get it. And that's where financial literacy comes into play. Your goals and your dreams are more in tune if you have a plan in place for you to be able to get there. And so when I sit down with a family, I ask them what's important. What's important to you? Is it your family? Maybe it's protection. Maybe it's your retirement. Maybe it's your future. What is it that you want? Do you want to become financially free? Well, if you have a plan in place, you are more adept to be able to get to that spot. So when I sit down and talk about families, I have family A and I have family B. Family A typically makes about $100,000 left. They may have a 401k. There's a possibility of them having some term life insurance. They're probably renters. They put a little bit of money in the bank. They have credit card debt. They take advantage of minimal tax advantages. They really don't have a plan in place. And that represents the majority of Americans today. Whereas family B, $250,000 or more, there possibly could be business owners. They understand permanent life insurance. They're probably homeowners. They have a very diversified portfolio. They're debt-free. They take advantage of every tax advantage that they can. And they have some sort of professional advising them to help them grow. They represent a very small portion of the population. The only difference between family A and family B is that family B has the knowledge that they've gotten from an advisor and that they have applied that knowledge. You've heard the saying, knowledge is power. Well, it is, only if you apply it. And so financial literacy comes into play and should be taught at the earliest time in our lives. Because most people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. So we're here today to talk a little bit about some of the things that go into making a solid financial plan. We're going to cover some of the basics here, and we're going to talk about a little bit about money and growth and how some of these things work. So join me as we continue to go along. So let's talk about a financial plan. I know I spoke about it earlier just for briefly, but these things here really start with a decision. A decision. What is it that you want? You've made up your mind to join us here today to learn about financial literacy. That's the first step. What is your desire? The great Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich, chapter 1 in that book that has been widely known is desire. Once you have a dream and you have a desire, now it's time to put a plan in place in order for you to get there. So when we think about a financial plan, the first thing we really talk about is let's set up a goal. Okay, what is your goal? Is your goal to have $1 million? Is your goal to have $2 million? Is your goal to become financially free? But every goal that you decide on needs to be very, very specific, and it needs to be very, very detailed. Not, I want a lot of money. Not, I want to be able to do this. It is specific and timelines and breakdowns. I should be able to have this by this time. I want to grow it by this time, and I should be here at this time. So you're thinking short term, you think long term, and then you think a year term, right? You should be looking at your financial plan yearly and throughout. So whatever your goals are, they must be very specific and detailed. And then you come up with the budget. Now, this is the hardest part. Okay, you've determined, you've made a decision, you've written down your goals, you know exactly what you want, but now it's time to budget. And for us, as most people, you know, we're in a want society, right? I often ask this question, do I need it or do I want it? And that's a powerful thing. So sticking to your plan and sticking to your budget every month, whatever it may be, is the hardest thing. Do I need to have a $4 cup of Starbucks every single day, or do I want it? Pretty unique. Then comes debt management. Because we're in a needs society, we need to talk about what's good debt and what's bad debt. The average American today has over $8,000 in credit card debt, in which they're paying probably high interest rates on. Is that good debt or is that bad debt? It's bad debt because you're paying interest on top of that, on top of the money that you've already borrowed. More than likely, what did you buy with that money? What did you buy with that debt? Did you buy a new pair of shoes? Did you buy a purse? Did you buy a phone? Did you make any money from that purchase? Is it an asset?
This all leads back to good assets and liabilities, if I'm correct. Buying assets or buying liabilities.
Exactly. So we'll talk about good debt here in a second here. Good debt would be buying an asset that in turn pays you money, right? Like income property. There's no better person in this world today to talk to about income property than Michael Johnson. He is a true expert. And so that would be a good example of good debt. You pull the loan out, right? You secured an asset that's going to in turn pay you income, right? Passive income. That's good debt. That's a good part of a financial plan. Now, retirement. People nowadays should be thinking about retirement the minute they start working. You know why? Because time is your enemy, but it's also your weapon. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. But if you wait and you procrastinate and you let time build up, on the other end, your window of opportunity is going to shorten. If you start to think about retirement at age 50, you're not going to have enough money to retire on. But if you started at age 18 or 19 or even 20 in your early 20s, oh my God, the power of compounding interest works amazing. But if you procrastinate, you're going to be shortfall. So we can talk about a financial plan. And then there's an emergency plan. If it's going to happen, you might as well be prepared for it. If you get into a car accident, if the washing machine breaks down, if the refrigerator goes on fritz, something always is going to happen. Murphy's law, anything that can happen will happen, is going to happen. And you might as well be prepared for it. So having an emergency plan in place as part of your financial plan is a strong area. Now, insurance. Insurance really isn't just about a death benefit nowadays, but it's the basis of all wealth. Let me say that again. Insurance is the basis of all wealth. If you have a family and something happens to the two breadwinners in the family, what's going to happen? Income protection is there, right, to help the family continue to stabilize and live the life that they have been accustomed to. But there's more to it than that. There are 5 types of life insurance today. 5, and they're not just about death benefit. And we'll cover that a little bit more a little bit later. So having a good insurance plan is also part of a financial plan. Investments. Know the options. Grow wealth and grow assets, right? Know that your money is making money for you. You should always be aware of where your investments are at all times, because it's your money. You should know. You should be aware of the market. You should be aware of the funds that they're in. You should be aware of the portfolio that has your life savings in it or your investments in it, because you want those to continue to grow. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later as well. And then lastly, estate planning. Now, you may be 20 years old and don't think, wow, I don't need an estate plan right now. Maybe not. Maybe down the line, if you figure to get married or as you continue to build your foundation and your wealth, you will need something. Everybody needs an estate plan. A living will, trust, very inexpensive to have, and they're there to protect you and your family, right, from the things that may happen. And I'll give you a great example. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of my father passing away. He died in April of last year, and it was very tragic and it was very sudden. But my father didn't have an estate plan, even though I'm a financial planner, and I went to him several times and said, Dad, I'm here to help protect you and do all of these things for you. He didn't have anything in place. So to settle all of his affairs, unfortunately now had to be settled by the court. And it's still being settled by the court because he didn't have a financial plan. So his remaining family, his sons, myself and my brother, now have to go through probate court, which is a hassle, just like any other court is, in order to sort out all the pieces of his estate. So have those pieces in place. Have them well thought out. All of these 8 things are all part of a strong financial plan. Now, you may be thinking, do I need all 8 of these things? Probably you do. And it's never too late to plan out your road and your future. If you start today, if you make a decision today, these are some of the basics that we would cover to help you organize what your want and your goal is. All right. So now that we have established some of the things that go into a financial plan, let's talk a little bit about the 4 cornerstones of generating wealth. Okay. Growth. Now, I got my first job at the age of 15. My mom was shocked the day I came home. I filled out an application to this local store. Mom, I'm going to work. She said, congratulations, son. It's your responsibility. It's a big thing. Go do it. So I was excited. I worked. 2 weeks later, I got my very first paycheck. I felt great. I had made this money. And she said, son, you should put that money in the bank. I said, well, why would I do that? Mom, I just made the money. I want to go use it. She said, you know what? If you put your money in the bank, they will pay you interest. What's interest? Interest is when the bank pays you money. I thought, wow, that's a great concept. Let me do that. So look, I worked all summer at age 15, didn't really spend too much of it. I was 15, didn't really have much to spend it on, really. So at the end of the year, you get this little statement from the bank, and congratulations, Mr. Justin, you earned 3 cents in interest. 3 cents. I thought, what the heck is that? So that taught me a lesson, right? And really, had my mom come to me and she said, son, this is Justin, he's a financial advisor. He's going to teach you how money works. He's going to teach you something called the rule of 72. Are you familiar with that rule? No. Well, are you familiar with that rule? Let's talk about it. So just as I happened to mention before, this is kind of like what the bank offers for you. A savings account that'll draw 0.01%, next to nothing. A CD may give you 1%. Even a money market right now through the bank will give you 1%. So if I have money in there, how long is that money going to take to grow? Well, the rule of 72, which is also called the banker's rule, Albert Einstein called it one of the wonders of the world, is compounding. The rule is, if you take 72 and you divide it into whatever percentage your return is, that's how long it'll take for your money to double. So as we look here on the next slide, we'll look at the 1%. If I'm age 29 and I put $10,000 into an account that pays me 1%, I'll basically be dead by the time that money rolls over to $20,000. And 1%, it's going to take 72 years for that money to grow. 72 years. I'm not waiting 72 years. I need to find something that's going to allow me to grow that exponentially, right? So you can take a look here at the chart. We have a 4% chart where it doubles every 18 years. We have a 6% chart that doubles every 12. And then the one at the end is the powerful one. At age 29, I put it into an account that's going to pay me at least 12%. By the time that I go to retire, whatever having to put any additional money into this account, by the time that I go to retire at 70, probably most of you will probably be retiring at the age of 70 if you're relatively young, you'll have $1.2 million. $1.2 million into an account that you never added to, that you just left there, and the money grew and grew and grew. This is at age 29. Power of compounding interest is remarkable. But where do you put your money? Where do you put it? Well, most people will put it in the market. So let's talk about the market a little bit. Right now, our markets are a little bit down. As a matter of fact, they're really down. But I want to continue to grow my money. I don't want my money to see a loss. Like, I want it to grow. I don't want it to recede. I don't want to have to pay for the same real estate twice. I've been at that mark. I don't want to go back down and pay for it again. But this is how market loss is worked. So for example, if I had $100 and the market's down 50%. Now I have $50. For me to gain back my money, according to the chart here, at 50% gain, because I lost 50%, I'm only getting back 75. The market needs to completely double in order for me to return back to zero. So if you're on the market, if the market's down right now, the NASDAQ is down year to date 15%. The NASDAQ now needs to grow 30% in order for me just to get back to zero, to get back to my level playing field. So safety in the market. How do we have safety in the market?
Can you explain that one again, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Stock market, right? You have $100 in the stock market. Okay. If the market drops 50%, right, you now have half of your money, right? In order for you to get back to $100, because you're now at 50, the market needs to double, right? Because a 50% gain is only going to give you 25% of what you lost. The market needs to go 100% over. So if you're down 50%, it needs to get to 100, right? In order for you to gain back the money that you lost, the $50. So if the market, for example, is down 15%, in order for you to return back to your initial premium, the market has to grow 30%. Okay. So here's a great indication of how our market has been now. This really is looking like the markets nowadays. All of our stock market has just been all over the place, you know, over the past 6 months, right? So this is kind of our market condition now. Got some ups and definitely got some downs in there. It looks like this big crooked line. So again, trying to make sure that your money continues to grow, right, is hugely important. But there are other things out there that can help you grow your money, right? If you look to the right of the slide, you'll see these series of locks over the same graph, right? There are funds out there, market funds, index funds, that will lock in growth and level out the loss. So for example, the first peak here, right? Market goes back up again. And then when the market drops, as in this particular case here, it flat lines out. And then it goes up and flat lines out, goes up, flat lines out. So you retain the gains in the market and you reduce the overall losses in the market. This is an index type fund. This is your regular mutual funds, ups and downs, right? And all the things that are tied to mutual funds. Now, everybody's favorite thing in the whole wide world, right? We're up against the April 18th tax deadline. Let's talk about some tax advantages. Right now, you put all your money into CDs in a CD market or savings, you've paid taxes on that money. Oops. You've paid taxes on that money. Now, there are things out there like your retirement type vehicles, like your 401k, your 403b, or your TSP accounts that diversify your money, right? They don't diversify, actually, they defer your money, right? So you're going to build up money within this account. And when you go to retire, now Uncle Sam comes back with you at age 59 and a half or age 65 or age 70. And Uncle Sam says, here, I'm ready for my chunk. So you diversify, you deferred those tax payments. But I don't know about you, but if I have $100,000 in a 401k, I don't want Uncle Sam to come over and take $30,000 away of my hard-earned money. I want to find an account where I don't ever have to pay taxes, and they're out there. A Roth Ira, right? After tax contributions, anything gained within a Roth IRA is tax-free. 529 plan, tax-free for your colleges. And then there is the IUL, the Indexed Universal Life, right? Cash value accumulation in an IUL is tax-free. So I don't know about you, but I like tax-free. And everybody here should like tax-free. With our economy as it is now, inflation's now at 8.5%. Things aren't getting cheaper. I want my money to grow. I don't want to have to pay Uncle Sam something that I want to keep. So looking for the right tax advantage for not only you and your family, but for your businesses as well is hugely important. You want to minimize taxes. And then lastly, we're going to look at protection. Now, what kind of protection? Well, life insurance is there for your income and for your family, right? But not only is it there for just that protection through a death benefit, but it could also be used to accumulate growth and money and wealth inside life insurance. There are 5 types of life insurance: term, whole, universal, variable, and indexed. We just mentioned the index just a second ago. And then as we continue to get older, right, we have to look at our long-term care, right? Living benefits. We are all going to die someday. We're all going to get older, right? Living benefits is a great new addition that has certainly come onto the market over the last several years that most people aren't even aware of. Covers you with a terminal illness, right? Covers you with a crucial illness and a critical illness. All of us at some point are going to either develop cancer, or we're going to have a heart attack, or we're going to die in some sort of accident. And living benefits is there, along with long-term care, to help supplement your health needs as you continue to get older. And it's a great thing. And then lastly, your estates and your assets that you have accumulated over a long time. These things can change a family's future today. And it's all about the knowledge of knowing what's out there and what's available. So leave a legacy. Hugely important. Okay. So now let's talk about the pillars of a strong financial foundation. We just spoke about the 8 different characteristics that go into making a financial plan. We talked a little bit about growth and the rule of 72. We talked about how to minimize safety in the market, right, in order for your money to grow. We talked about some tax savings, right? We don't want to reduce taxes. We want to be able to eliminate them, right? We want to be able to take advantage of all of our money, right? And all of our savings and all of our wealth as we learn to accumulate them. So the structure of any foundation, right, is your life insurance. The protection that has there protects you against your income loss, your health with long-term benefits and living and long-term care, right? We talked about the estate planning and liability and your debt management, right? All of these things go into play. Your emergency funds to make sure that you're covered just in case something may happen. You're looking at, again, we just talked about long-term care and living benefits and disabilities for your health. Retirement, planning well in advance for retirement, because the rule of 72 is there to help you. As you shorten that window, it's going to be much more difficult to kind of get there. And then obviously debt management. You want to make sure you have good debt versus the bad debt. You want to stay away from those credit cards. And those are the pillars of a strong financial foundation. Those are the things that will help you get to where you want to go, to get to your dreams and your desires. And these tools, there are tremendous tools out there to help you get to where you want to go. Now, when I sit down with a family, we take a look at everything. We take a look at your cash flow. We talk about your debt. Do you have an emergency fund? Are you properly protected? Are you building wealth and are you building assets? And then most importantly, more than anything else, we're talking about preserving the wealth that you have, right? Because we want to be able to reduce the market loss. We want to be able to reduce the taxes on there. We want you to take advantage of every single thing that you possibly can in order for your house, your financial house, to be strong and stable, right? So through this, I offer a complimentary financial needs analysis, right? Where I take a look at your current financial situation, your financial future, and your goals, right? And then I break it all down for you so that you can see exactly where the holes are, if you have any holes, and how we can best plug them, and how we can best develop a plan to get you where you want to go. Something that's not too risky, that will help you finance your dreams and your ambitions, right? And have enough money to settle your retirement. So free complimentary financial needs analysis. Now, through all of this, again, we want to make sure that you find the right product for you, right? That through financial literacy, your investments, your insurance, your debt management, and retirement and estates, and even business solutions, I have access to all of these type of companies, right? Everybody's heard of Fidelity. A lot of your 401ks are held in Fidelity. Maybe it's in Franklin Templeton, right? For insurance purposes, Pacific Life and Transamerica, Prudential, Nationwide is on your side. If you have some debt issues and you need to be able to manage debt, we have Debt America Relief. All of these different solutions are here to help you provide the road to your dreams and to your goals. That's the end of my presentation here today. It's a small chunk and really the basics, right, for what goes into a strong financial foundation. It's been an honor here to talk with you for the last 30, 40 minutes, and I certainly appreciate all of you taking out the time on this Saturday before Easter to hopefully learn a little bit about financial planning and financial literacy. It has been a great day, and I'd like to again thank Mr. Michael Johnson for the opportunity of hosting this event and bringing all of you here. So I'm going to open it up to Michael here. I believe there's some questions that maybe we can answer together. Michael, thank you very much.
Justin, that was just phenomenal. I learned so much. I can't wait to review this again myself because that was just an incredible presentation. Thank you so very much. So I do want to open up the floor to questions. Here's what I've learned. The question that you're thinking about, someone else is thinking about as well. So please do not hesitate. I want to open up the floor for questions. Any questions at all from anyone? Okay. Now, Justin, I believe there was a few questions that you had over the online in Zoom. Let's answer some of those questions.
Sure.
I was wondering if you can explain the rule of 72 one more time, if that's okay.
Okay.
It's
So
about doubling your profits, I believe.
So the rule of 72 talks about how long is it going to take for your money to double. In this case, you take whatever percentage is of your return. If it's 10%, you would take 10 and you divide it into 72. It'll now take 7.2 years for your money to double.
I see. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Sure. By the way, that is one of the missed opportunities. I really think that most people fail to see how powerful that is. There's often online, a lot of online memes out there, right? And there's one meme that talks about, hey, I'll give you $1 million or I'll give you 1 penny that will double every day for 30 days. Which one would you take? Would you take the $1 million straight away? Or would you take the penny that doubles every single day? That compounds every day? Well, the $1 million is nice, it gets you here or there now. But if you look at that penny, by the time that penny goes and multiplies all the way through the 4+ weeks, you'll have more than $1 million. That is the power of compounding. Michael, anything else?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Justin, let's answer some of those questions that,
Sure.
that we went through when I sent that list over to you. Do you have them in front of you?
Let me see if I can pull that up. I'll be right back here.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to also ask you a question.
Okay.
I think it's IULs. Is that correct?
IUL, yes, it is an index universal life.
Okay, how does that work?
So an IUL basically takes your money. In this case, this is a life insurance policy, or in this particular case, an IUL is an index universal life policy. Some of the money goes to your death benefit, and some of the money goes into an index fund. And we talked about index funds earlier, where the market will go up, allows you to have gains, but when the market drops, as it is now, it has a floor or a caption of 0. So you're able to take advantage of the gains and minimize all of the losses in there. So within that index strategy, and there are many strategies to index, in this particular case, the IUL, the money that is grown inside this policy is tax-free. It's also a non-asset as well. So instead of having your money in a 401k, for example, right, where you have your money growing over a long period of time, you cannot touch that money until you go to retire, in this case, 59 and a half. If you touch that money before retirement, 1, you're going to get taxed on it, and 2, you're going to pay a penalty for touching that funds that are in there. However, money that is grown within an IUL, you can take out and touch any single time you wish, as far as a tax-free loan from that account is concerned. So at any point, you have the ability to access your funds. You do not have to wait until 72 or 65 or retirement age. So the ability to grow money within this fund that is protected by the life insurance policy, right, using an index type situation, grows money considerably, right, safe and without loss. That's a tremendous vehicle that most people nowadays don't know. A lot of corporate CEOs and businesses that I deal with, that is part of the CEO's compensation package, is having an index universal life policy.
Oh, that's awesome. Also, what is the rate? What is the percentage rate usually that's attached to the IUL?
Depending on the company and depending on the, really depending on the company, they'll have any ranges between 12 to 15% with a floor of, I've seen companies at 0.75. Some of them go straight to 0 without any loss. So you have the ability to make 15% gains, right? And have the floor of having 0 loss.
Wow, that is
That's
truly amazing. That's
powerful.
amazing. Very powerful, very powerful. All right, anyone else? Does anyone else have any questions? I have one from Satrina for you, Justin.
Sure.
It says, for the IUL, are the contributions pre-tax? Hold it went away for me. Are they pre-tax or after-tax dollars?
They are after-tax dollars.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Anyone else? Does anyone else have any questions? Let's keep them going. Let's keep them going. Okay. I had on the online question, Justin, I had a question that had to do with what would be the best vehicle for retirement. I think you kind of went over that a little bit.
So I'll kind of cover it again. Everybody's retirement vehicle, it really depends on you, right? What you're looking for. Most people are only have heard about what their company offers, right? So if you get a job in a corporation, they may have as part of their benefits package a 401k. Well, certainly that is a retirement vehicle, but that is not the only retirement vehicle, right? The issues that I've seen out there nowadays is 401ks were built in the 1970s, right? Because pensions were crumbling across America, okay? Companies that funded these pension plans were going out of business. So people that had worked for these companies for multiple generations, multiple years, lost their pensions because pensions are no longer guaranteed. So the United States in the 1970s came up with something called the 401k. That provision, the 401k, is part of that provision. But that's a 1970s vehicle. If I came to you today and I said, okay, Michael, would you like to have a 1970s Dart, Ford Dart? Or would you like to have a 2022, Tesla Model S? Wow, right? So you have really old thinking versus today's new thinking. New thinking, things like index funds, which were not available back in the 1970s that people aren't aware of, right? Index funds, as we spoke about, gains in the markets with minimal loss. There are ways to structure retirement accounts using indexes. The IUL is one way, but each individual person has their own unique situations, and we can discuss those, one-on-one, a little bit more technical.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, I have two questions here.
Sure.
I have a comment from Greg. He says, I'm interested in the product where I can invest a penny and have it double daily. Hey, Greg, me too.
Right?
Me too.
No
All
kidding.
right. Jessica says, how do you feel about cryptocurrency? Is
Okay.
it something wise to invest in? That's a great question.
It is a great question. And the problem with cryptocurrency nowadays is, there are really three that are out there in the world that have gained notoriety, right? And the United States really isn't quite sure exactly how to deal with these cryptocurrencies. My particular feeling is that they're extremely volatile, right? They can drop in a hot second, but over the last few years, they have been the hottest trend, right? At some point, the United States is going to figure out what it really wants to do with cryptocurrency. It's out there. It is not the only thing. I know it's very, very popular with the millennials. Oh my God, it's got to be cryptocurrency. Well, let me tell you, I would not want to be involved with something where my money is going to be at a loss in a hot second. One thing in the news, if Elon Musk says, hey, this particular cryptocurrency is bad, it drops like a hat. It's very, very volatile. There's no stability in that particular market yet. And until they kind of get some of those things together, it's good to have it as part of an investment portfolio, but I would not put my whole world in cryptocurrency as it stands now.
No, that's great. So I think what I hear you saying, Justin, is it's cool for a short, maybe midterm investment, but don't bank retirement on it.
Definitely not. Again, I'm, I'm 50 years old now. I would not want to put my nest egg in cryptocurrency just because it happens to be the hottest thing. But it depends on where you are and how much risk you're willing to take. That's a big part of any type of investment, is how much risk are you willing to take so that you can be able to withstand the market gains, but the market losses as well. I mean, we haven't had a market correction since 2008. I mean, Michael, you certainly remember 2008 being in the real estate business.
Painfully,
right? Well, a lot of us painfully went through that in 2008.
Right.
And over the last, 15 or so years, we've had a really good bull run. It's only been these last 2 years when COVID kind of came into the situation that the market has become very, very unstable. So those of you with accounts out there in the market, 401ks, for example, right? I challenge you to go back and take a look at those accounts, right? The market's been down all year. Now that we have increased inflation in here, prices are going up like crazy. Nobody has a whole lot of confidence in our particular government at this particular moment. There's a war going on in Europe right now. There is a lot of instability. So 401ks and your nest eggs right now are very, very volatile. I'm out there helping clients as we speak now that have 401ks or old accounts that are able to move. We're moving them into secure growth, right, with minimal loss, no loss in their growth, so that we can continue to fund their retirement.
Beautiful. Anyone else? Let's keep them coming. We have a few more minutes. This is a perfect time to ask Justin any questions you might have. We will be recording this and sending it out to you just in case, but this is a great time to ask him any questions that you might have right now. So anybody, any questions whatsoever? Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, Justin, it's been an awesome pleasure to have you on. This is not the last time, sir. This is only the first time. We're going to have Justin on throughout the year too, to come in and bring some golden nuggets. But I want to thank everybody for joining. Justin, thank you so much, my friend. It was
Thank
awesome.
you, Michael. Always a pleasure to see you and talk with you, my friend. And again, thank you all very much. Happy Easter to you and all your families, and let's talk soon.
Absolutely. Happy Easter, everybody. You guys have a great and safe weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Take care.